how strong we are. You know, yes, we go through catastrophes, but at the end of the day, we have each other to lean on, and the efforts continue. Anything else that you guys would like to share with our viewers?
Well, life is not a solo sport. We're all part of the community. We all have a job to do, and praise God, He's given us a job to do, and we're happy to let our light, His light shine through us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Phil and Darlene. And for now, I'm Mercedes Martinez here in North Fort Myers. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Mercedes. What a great quote. Life is not a solo sport.
Seriously, right?
Especially in times like this. So, and a pot of coffee, we know it goes a long way this morning.
A very long way.
Yeah. Well, this morning we're continuing to look at the impacts that Milton left behind. Of course, it hit just north of our viewing area. And so Charlotte County was an area that got hit pretty hard.
Yeah, we know Joshua Cole is local in Englewood there in Charlotte County with.
We're here in Englewood this morning on the Charlotte County side, just up the road, Sarasota County, much closer to the eye wall where it made landfall. Down Beach Road here is the bridge to Minnesota Key. That is blocked off right now while authorities are assessing the damage, though. We know that there is at least a small fuel spill out there that they're checking on, and lots of down power lines, and of course the debris from Hurricane Helene. These buildings right here, you can see washed out from the storm surge just down the way, about 4 buildings down, about a football field's length away is another building that's roof is damaged. I want to show you some of the material from that. First, look at the debris that we're seeing. A lot of concern here for what we saw washed up. As we turn, you can see another plank that came from that roof. And in addition, here in the parking lot of this McDonald's that so many people know before they head to the beach, a down palm tree. Lots of people trying to turn around and get onto the island, though that bridge is closed off. Now I want to show you a pretty good representation of what the storm surge looks like. Look at this wall here with me, and you can see a very clear line of how high the storm surge got, at least at some point in the night. I'm 6 foot tall, and where I'm standing, you can see it was definitely over me, and this isn't even at water level. That's another 6 feet down this incline back here. So a lot of damage from storm surge that we saw overnight from Hurricane Milton. We'll continue monitoring these conditions here in Charlotte County. We're in Englewood, and Joshua Cole, back to you.
All right, Joshua, thank you. A big job there ahead for several different crews. Now, leaders in Charlotte County are also urging residents to stay off of the roads this morning. We know Milton brought a lot of rain and flooding to the area, so many roadways this morning still underwater. The city's public works department is being deployed and will work to clear roads of debris. We will let you know when it is safe and okay to head back out roads.
So as we continue into our day after Milton, we want you to help us. We need you to let us know what's open when it comes to restaurants, when it comes to gas, businesses. If you are watching us and you have anything available, please let us know so we can tell people.
Yeah, and it's super easy for you to do so. You can message us on Facebook or comment on our Facebook post about this, or email us at newstips@nbc-2.com and newstips@abc-7.com. Right now we are working on a list to let you know what is open.
Yeah, so here are some examples. So we know Publix, they're going to have modified hours, so you might want to check their website and take a look at what the one near you. Sam's Club in Naples, Shrimp Shack in Fort Myers, Beach Locksmith in Naples.
John Collins in Naples, we know Walmart on Collier Boulevard in Naples, also in Peaceful Mind Counseling Group. Now we are still working on that list, and we'll have a much larger list on
I know Wonderland Cookie Dough in North Fort Myers is offering.
inside of your home during the hurricane? Getting our clothes together, food together, trying to get the generator working, but it wouldn't work because it has to be on a flat surface.
Perfect.
The water level here is just crazy. It is up above these mailboxes. I mean, I couldn't walk all the way down. They had to send a raft in to get you. Tell us about how your mom is doing. She's stressed. I don't know if you know anything about dementia, but they overly stressed. She was up 4 times last night, waking me up. She's just very stressed out. As soon as we get her somewhere, she'll calm down. There's a lot of anxiety with elderly.
Of course. Well, I'm so glad you all are doing okay. Do you know anything else about how your neighbors are doing here?
The neighbors actually are in the same boat as me. The lady's taking care of her elderly parents, and I guess she doesn't want to be rescued.
Oh, careful. Here, do you need a hand?
I was.
You had to grab in an emergency like this?
My brace, my medication, a couple pairs of clothes, my chargers, my phone, and that was basically it. That is all. A little thing of dog food.
It looks like they're still going to be here, trying to rescue folks.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people on the block.
Oh my
still.
gosh.
But we just went through this a couple years ago, so everybody's used to it and set up for it already. So.
It was a loud night last night, a lot of wind, a lot of rain.
I heard a lot of booming, like it sounded like gunshots, but obviously it was not gunshots.
Did you all lose power as well?
We lost power pretty early. I was actually shocked last night, about 9, 10 o'clock, something like that.
And where are you going to go now? Your home isn't inhabitable at the moment. You just brought the bare essentials and what's important, your mother and your pets.
I have an older daughter who lives in New Smyrna Beach in Newport Sound, so I'm gonna go try to get over there. So she lives in a higher rise apartment, so I'll be with my grandbabies. So
that's good. And what is your name?
Jessica.
Jessica. Well, gosh, I'm so glad we were able to catch up with you and that you're doing okay. I know it's a lot. You're shaking.
Like crap. But thank you for all. Thank you guys. Appreciate it very much.
You guys take care.
All right.
All right. Stay safe.
Thanks. Y'all be safe too.
So we got the call around 7 o'clock this morning saying that there were some high water rescues going on, and we found it on Big Tree and Big Oak Drive here. And the water, I tried walking down. It is so deep. My feet are soaked actually. My boots were up to here on my knees and the water was going well above that, and I got some video of some of the front doors just underwater. Where are you all going next?
Back in to see if anybody else needs help.
Back in to see if anyone else needs help. Are you knocking on the doors, or how is this working?
We basically just kind of go down the road and see if anyone we see, we talk to them and they'll point us out to the neighbors that need help. Strong. We did the same
Very
thing.
strong, yeah.
And what was it like during Ian? How can you compare the two storms?
Very comparable.
Oh, wow.
As far as the flooding goes, it was almost at the same point. In this neighborhood, anyway.
Has this been known to be a flooding area?
It wasn't Ian.
Yeah.
So.
What else are you hearing about in Daytona and the surrounding areas?
It seems pretty bad. It seems very similar to Ian. You know, there's hundreds of houses flooded just in this neighborhood.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, you can see from here, every house on this street on the left side is flooded.
Yeah. And you can tell that there's a higher elevation to the right versus the left. Of the homes on the left.
Once you take a right on Bennett, it gets worse again, and it's kind of hit and miss. So our plan is just to kind of go as far as we can, pending any other higher priority calls, and just get the people out that want help. Sometimes people don't want it; they just want to stay. You know, so it's up to them.
Are these homes even going to be salvageable?
Absolutely, eventually. It just takes a lot of work.
All right, well, thank you so much for everything you do, and I know you have a lot of work ahead of you during the aftermath of Hurricane Milton.
Yeah, you said it.
All right, thank you so much again. So appreciative for what you do. We will send it back to you in the studio. We're going to gather some more information here from the scene.
All right. I mean, and I just can't imagine. Obviously, now those folks, even if their house was spared, they have all that water. They can't leave their homes. I mean, and I guess if there's anybody's guess how long before the water recedes and they can actually leave.
That is anyone's guess. Do you all remember how long it took for the water to recede after Ian?
In this neighborhood, it was a couple of days, but it's
A couple of days in this neighborhood?
goes down, hour by hour.
It can gradually go down hour by hour, but it might take a few days. So, gosh, they've got quite a journey ahead of them in the aftermath of Hurricane Milton.
Maybe good news. Remember, Brooks talked about better looking weekend. No precipitation would help them for sure.
Absolutely.
So, Amanda, great job out there. I know that's tough, and great job for the crews out there rescuing them, going door to door.
God bless him, Amanda. Thank you.
Absolutely.
184,000 without power in Volusia County, and there's a street that's taking up a number of those.
Yeah, and significant rainfall totals. That was one of the things that Brooks and Jessica have been talking about for days now, that they anticipated we would see scenes just like that.
Again, that is in South Daytona. We're going to take a break. So much more to get to. So many different county stories like that in other counties as well. We'll be back.
Starts now, tracking the tropics.
And we are finally on the tail end of Milton. Hallelujah. We have almost made it through. Great to have you with us, everybody. I'm Amy Kaufeld.
I'm Ryan Elijah. It is great to be there as well. And interesting as we bring in, of course, Ian and TJ and Brooks as well. Let's talk about the comparison you just made to Ian. I mean, all these storms are different, but, what happens the next 24 hours can make a big difference to those people.
Yeah, of course, Ian was known for the incredible flooding. And with this system, while Ian dropped 17 to 20 inches of rain, this one dropped more like on the top end 12 or 13 inches of rain. So we still saw some flooding, but it wasn't to the extreme levels of the potential some of the computer models were suggesting. So that's a forecast I'm glad did not pan out as forecast, but it still did flood in spots.
Bad enough for that street the way it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's going to take a while for that water to come down, right?
That's the toughest part. I feel like you see homes like Amanda was just talking about, and it's not immediate. So these folks have to go through this, hour by hour and day by day until we start to see that improvement for, everyone.
Still a fear of the rivers continuing to rise?
So with the little rivers like the Little Wekiva and the Little Econ and a lot of the tributaries of the St. Johns, those react almost immediately to heavy rain. So you'll see flood emergencies sometimes issued for those. Those will get in flood immediately. The smaller the creek, the faster it fills up. That'll all then flow into the St. Johns, and it could take up for a week for the St. Johns to fully ingest all the water. And some of the problems we've had with previous storms is if you get a strong northeast wind behind the system, that'll kind of block the water from leaving the St. Johns River. That was one of the problems we had with Ian, so it just backfilled, and we had an even more dramatic flooding event. So this probably won't be a repeat of that, but it's not far from it considering the rainfall totals we've had. We've had wind gusts of 99 miles per hour at Ponce Inlet Town Hall, most of the gusts between about 60 and 85 miles per hour, so it was a legit Category 1 hurricane. I think the only real sort of difference between the forecast and what happened with the storm surge forecast over on the Gulf Coast side. The predictions were fairly dire for up to 10 to 15 feet of catastrophic storm surge, and one of the tide gauges recorded a 5-foot storm surge between Venice Beach and Tampa Bay. Wow. So it was a third of the forecast, and also Tampa was spared of any storm surge. Yeah, so it was good. Yeah, remember the soundbite of Mayor Castor there warning people to get out or else. So fortunately, that was the setup. We've got cloudy skies, windy conditions still at Lake Fairview, but as TJ mentioned, we're seeing the wind starting to dissipate out there. And in fact, it's 9:32 right now. By 11 o'clock, we should be looking at 25-mile-per-hour winds in Orlando, with even the higher winds at the coastline starting to calm down as Milton works east. It's losing its shape. It's getting ingested by a frontal system. And so while officially, as of 8, it has winds of 85 miles an hour, I expect for the 11 o'clock advisory, it may not even be a hurricane anymore. We'll see. We'll see. I think they're looking at some of the wind gusts out here in the buoys, and obviously if they're having hurricane force wind gusts, it's still a hurricane. It'll be classified as such, but it's going to lose those tropical characteristics pretty quickly. As far as the warnings go, we're still under a hurricane warning for Volusia and Brevard. Tropical storm warnings now. We've had a downgraded hurricane warning for Orange County and Seminole counties. That's where we're still catching wind gusts to tropical storm force up to about 40 miles per hour. And on the beaches right now, tropical storm force winds of 63 miles per hour near Smyrna Beach. In the last hour, we had higher wind gusts to hurricane force, greater than 74 miles per hour, but it seems like even that now is starting to wane, and we're going to see even those tropical storm force winds going away around or just after lunchtime, leading to an actually fairly pleasant afternoon. But be extremely careful. There's a lot of branches that have kind of like half broken, and they're just like dangling, and one little wind gust may be just enough to break it. If you're under it, obviously that'd be bad. So when you're doing yard work, when you're cleaning up sticks, just make sure you look up and just make sure there's nothing hanging above your head. Meanwhile, we've got a couple of showers continue here in our coastal counties. This is not the flash flood rain like we had last night and early this morning. This is just the tail end of Milton, and we've got drier air surging in from the west, and so that's going to clear things out. But Amy was asking about this just a few minutes ago. How much rain have we had? Are there rainfall totals tallied? Well, we've had spotter reports, and
confirmed, but you can bet there'll be a lot more confirmed today.
So that was a lot of tornadoes, and especially.
All right, just a little bit of Fox 13 Tampa's coverage there, and we will be talking in just moments as well to Sheriff Grady Judd out in Polk County. You are watching live now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Page. Let's continue our coverage here of the aftermath of Hurricane Milton. Let's go out right now to the National Hurricane Center and joined now by Michael Brennan. Thank you so much for joining us. Michael, what can you tell us here at this hour as Milton has pushed through now?
Yeah, the effects of Milton are still being felt along portions of Florida's east coast this morning, but those conditions are gradually going to get better over the next few hours as Milton's center pulls out quickly into the Atlantic. We still have tropical storm, hurricane, and storm surge warnings in effect for portions of the Florida east coast, with the biggest impacts, say, from the Jacksonville area southward down to Cape Canaveral in terms of wind, storm surge. Heavy rainfall is about over, but there's still a lot of residual flooding going on, especially across portions of central Florida. We got river flood warnings in effect. There's still a lot of standing water. There's water rescues going on this morning as well in many places, even into the Tampa Bay region. Safe environment to be out in, and people should basically be sheltering in place indoors until their local officials give them the all clear to go back outside.
And Mike, what did the storm surge look like on the west coast of Florida as it made landfall?
Well, we had landfall happen basically in the Sarasota area, and so that spared us the potentially catastrophic storm surge we would have seen in the Tampa Bay region because the center came in farther south. But we got significant storm surge all the way from Sarasota down to Port Charlotte, Cape Coral into the Fort Myers area, significant inundation. We're still going to take us a while to piece together exactly how high the surge was, exactly how far inland it went. That can take days to weeks after the event to piece together, but there was significant flooding across much of the southwest Florida coast.
And lastly, Mike, looking forward here, is there any disturbances that you are looking at the National Hurricane Center that could potentially be on the radar coming up in the next week or so?
Yeah, if you look at what we've got in our outlook right now, out to the next 7 days, we've got Milton moving away, Leslie out the eastern Atlantic. One system we're looking at out the far eastern Atlantic, off the coast of Africa, but nothing that's an imminent threat to the United States over the next week. But it's important to remind people we're in that time of hurricane season when this is the favorite area for development, the Gulf of Mexico, the northwestern Caribbean, and those systems can form and very quickly affect the Gulf Coast, Florida, parts of the